This is Mongolian Mindset, and today is Thursday, so I get to pick who we type, and we're going to keep following the CEO trend that we've been doing this week, and we're going to type Tim Cook. I love Tim Cook. I know a lot of people say he hasn't contributed much innovation to Apple, but I think they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Tim Cook took Apple from a $359 billion market cap company to at the highest $3 trillion. So just talking about multiples there, that's a 10x. Okay, so anybody who sits down as a CEO and follows, that's the hardest thing you can do is follow somebody legendary. Okay, because all you can do is fuck up. But once you take something and multiply it times 10 times the value, phenomenal. And people don't understand, the higher the market cap, the harder it is to multiply to multiply. And he's done a phenomenal job when it comes to the AirPods. At first, I thought the AirPods was a joke, and then I turned around and everybody had them on. Let's talk about the Apple Watch. I believe in the future the watch will compete with the phone as the technology grows. Maybe they'll have some type of scanning device that they can have, like a projector or something in the future. And I do believe that as the iPhone takes sales away from the MacBook, the watch will get so complex that it will take sales from the iPhone. That's just my prediction there. But yeah, so let's do Tim Cook here. Okay, personnel database, the monkeys, has Tim Cook as the ISTJ. Okay, that's cool. We'll see what he is. We're going to use Linda Barrens Interactions, styles, and temperaments combined with cognitive functions, and we will figure out Tim Cook's actual type. We are still doing limited typing sessions, free typing sessions. Get that while it lasts, because in the future I'm going to end that so that I can actually focus on other content. I really want to do breakdown videos of the types in general, and that's going to take a lot more work than making these type of videos. So that's what's coming in the future. So the free typing sessions will probably end soon. So get that while you can. All you have to do is join our group and message the moderator Cody with your availability. You better do that soon, because I swear to God that shit's ended. Yeah, let's go to the chart. So ISTJs, right? We got them there. They are affiliative, so they're going to be talking about doing the right thing. They're about inclusion, togetherness, cooperation would be the word that David Keirsey uses instead of affiliate. Cooperation, I think that's a pretty nice one. They are responding, so they're introverted. They're systematic, so they will impose systems and structures to kind of get a little bit more control over life. They're not going to be looking at the interests or the motives of people. They're going to be direct, so they're going to be specific, concise, and to the point. It's really going to be firing from the hip when they talk. They're going to be concrete, so they're going to be talking about the what is. They're going to be really focused on their SI, so we'll hear that a lot, the past or overall the comfort or the internal sensations that they're getting from things. So the SINE user and their TFI, so they're about achievements, accomplishments, what they find important for themselves. If I missed anything, I don't think I missed anything. I got everything. But let's get into it. And please subscribe. That helps us grow the group. That helps us grow the channel. And I'm all about giving back and reinvesting into the group. Like I said, I want to make us the best group. Best people on the planet. That's my goal. And if I can't do that, then I'm not a good leader. But let's get into this.
What do we do with Apple CEO Tim Cook? Take a look. Tim, you know I always say, own it, don't trade it. But right now, people are saying, Jim, give me the investment case for buying the stock.
Well, you know, I never try to sell a stock. I try to sell a product.
Never have.
However, let me tell you the way I look at it.
Okay.
We manage the company for the long.
Woo, he's coming off direct. Tim is coming off direct. Put an asterisk side of it. It's early on.
The most important things in Apple, one, a culture of innovation. This team is unbelievable in creating hardware and software and services and getting them all to work together.
That's outcome. That's an outcome there. Okay. Let's go.
It just works. Second, we have a very large active install base. It hit 1.3 billion a year ago, and we've added about
TE numbers, and that's outcome again.
100 million in the last 12 months. Third, highest customer satisfaction and loyalty in the industry. So you put those two
More
things
TE data and more outcome.
together. If you got a lot of a big active install base and you got a lot of happy customers, then you have a recurring revenue stream on your product business. And then because of our ecosystem that we built,
Ecosystem, systematic, system, and another outcome.
which has unbelievable developers in it, and an app store to get services out there. We built a services business that was, a little over $7 billion in 2010.
Outcome again, dude. NTE. Okay, so we're already done. We're already down to direct and outcome. Okay, so that means that Mr. Tim Cook here is a structure type. So ISTJ is already eliminated because ISTJs are progression. So let's go look at the chart. Let's make sure you guys are following. Okay. ISTJs are progression, not outcome. And he's just spitting pure outcomes in the first literally 2 minutes. I already got 5. So he's direct outcome. So that means he's a structure type. So that means he's either ESTJ, ESTP, ENTJ, and ENFJ. Okay, comment below which one of the structure types you believe he is. It's looking like he's obviously a TE one, so we're gonna be down to ESTJ and ENTJ very quickly.
Last year, for the calendar year, over 41 billion.
41 billion. Outcome, direct, TE. Give me some more of them numbers.
And we've said that, we're going to double the 2016 numbers by 2020. And so we're on a fast clip there. And then, of course,
we're going to double the numbers. We're going to double the numbers. We're going to get that outcome, baby.
Capital allocation. So you put all these things together, and those are the most important things for us. Innovation, customer satisfaction, and the overall size and loyalty of our customers.
Okay, so most tech companies, I think, don't innovate nearly as much as you, but let me just posit what we got.
Yeah.
You take so many risks that I don't think you get credit for. For instance, it turned out to be real ridiculous strings around our neck, and then we got the AirPods. We loved our dumb watch that told time, and now we have a smartwatch that saves our life.
Yeah.
We loved the big fat jack, and then we got the lightning jack. We loved our Sony $2,000.
Okay. Mr. Kramer over there is hitting outcomes and direct and TE because he's referring to the numbers there. Mr. Kramer's down to ESTJ and ENTJ, and he's busting the shit out of we, and that's SE.
Mirrorless camera until we got the iPhone 10, which takes better pictures. Why do you therefore have a 12 multiple? Because to me, that is wrong.
Yeah, I think it's wrong too, but I tell you what I focus on.
Okay.
Kramer went back to outcome again. This is just a soft core typing of Kramer because he's not important today. I'm looking at an ESTJ or ENTJ on this guy.
The customers. And so the customers speak every quarter, they speak every year, they speak every day. And the most important thing for us is that they're satisfied. And so when I read emails and so forth from
giving them an SE experience, their satisfaction. That's SENI, okay? Come on.
Customers, they're telling me how the Apple Watch has changed their life. They're telling me how it motivated them to
making an impact on other people. SE. Okay, he's loving that.
Be more fit, be more active.
These are all outcomes. Those are all outcomes there. Those are pure outcomes.
Discovered they had AFib. They're telling me
They're telling me they had AFib. That's straight to the end product outcome. Mr. Cook.
problem with their heart that they didn't know existed, and if they wouldn't have reached out to a doctor, they might have died. And so
we're looking at the outcome again. They might have died.
These are life-changing things. We've got machine learning embedded in our silicon.
He's going we this, we that, we this, SE.
In our phone. You know, this allows us not only the power efficiency to have an incredible performance in a very small package.
Performance, that's SE.
Allows us to manipulate this data on the phone.
Manipulation of environment, that's SE again. Okay. With that being said, Mr. Tim Cook here is a SENI user. So that eliminates ESTJ from the list here. He's either ESTP, ENTJ, or ENFJ, and we already got a couple points for TEFI. So it's looking like Tim Cook is an ENTJ.
Have the transactions on the phone as opposed to letting them out in the world, and you know, the whole privacy issue for we've always been on the right side of privacy, but the market is now moving.
We.
And so this is an incredible strength that we've built. The photos that you're able to
we
take
built
phone, as you said. I mean, these are life-changing things. If you like to chronicle your life, this morning I picked up my phone and I saw a memory from a year ago.
I love the memory thing.
The memory from a year ago. Okay, both these guys are ENTJs. Both these guys are. Both of them.
I love it.
Yeah.
You know, you see my nephew or somebody that's very important.
SE memories. So how that it works is that those memories are totems for SE to remember in them. So they can remember the memories through the totems because they forget it. Forgiveness is attached to SE, but the totems keeps the memories. They keep them inside the totems. So that's SE. Hardcore SE.
You and their face.
And then you heard Jim Cramer say the same thing. I love that too.
Appears and you have a slideshow built for you. These things are they're unbelievable, and our customers love them. That's the most important.
But okay, so let's unpack that.
Yeah.
My daughter has the 5. Why? Because she loves it. She said, "Listen, Dad, if you put it in the washing machine like your wife did, I'll get a new one. But you can't pry it out of my cold dead hands because I love it." Yeah. She is not an upgrader because you made the greatest product. What do we do about that? What do you do?
Well, the most important thing for me is that she's happy. That is the most important thing. Now, if she's not upgrading for another reason, maybe it's too much of a hassle for her to upgrade. Maybe she's worried about the transfer of data. All of this stuff we want to help on. And you know, we've got the store that you're in that's very focused on having the best customer experience there.
Best customer experience, SSE, giving the best customer experience.
Helping people set up their new phone, making sure all their data is transferred, and also allowing them to trade in their current phone, which begins to look like a subsidy that the carrier may have previously provided, and it sort of offsets some of the cost of the new phone.
Okay, so these issues are all
outcome.
occurring at the same time that we do have China. You were very abject about China and the 100% of what we didn't think of the upside that went away. There are issues involving perhaps not boycotts, we know that's off the table, but patriotism in a strange way, meaning that, you know what, if I can get a Huawei with a subsidy, why should I buy an Apple? It's conspicuously American. How long can that last?
Well, I think here's what we saw in China in specific.
This is what we saw in China.
The Chinese economy, it seemed to us, begin to slow.
You see, he uses the words we, us.
In the second half of the year. And it was
we, us. He jumps back and forth.
On some sort of
we, us, day.
Trajectory.
We, us, day.
We believe, based on what we saw on the timing.
Tim, I'm gonna tell you what Christian told me, bro. Is it we or is it you?
Of it, that the tension, the trade war tension with the U.S. created this more sharp downturn. I believe that's temporary.
Oh, we finally got an eye.
Because I think that when you really look at it, it's in both countries' best interest.
Oh, he's talking about interest here.
Come to an agreement. It is a complex, very complex trade agreement, and it needs to be updated. But as I've said before, I'm very optimistic that this will happen. And so that clearly will be good, not only for us, frankly, but I think more about the world in general. The world needs
talking about the world in general. So that's a systematic approach.
U.S. and China economy, for the world economy to be strong.
My understanding is even the hardliners in the White House have moved on this issue. Now, I know that President Trump calls yours a friend. I know you go back and forth because you represent the greatest that we have in America.
I wonder why him and Trump are friends. Both two ENTJs. A lot of times ENTJs could bump heads.
My understanding is that there are people who feel exactly like you, which means a deal's possible.
I think a deal is very possible, and I've heard some very encouraging words.
Even of recent, right?
Yes, in very recently. And so I don't speak for them, obviously. I do talk with them and give them my ideas and thoughts.
Okay, now, we got to talk about some of these people who, the naysayers, and we've dealt with them before when the stock was substantially lower. Wedbush analyst who says Apple's clearly the darkest days represent challenging growth. Journal, it's too soon to call the 10R a flop, only after a few months, but early indications are, of course, it's a flop. What do you say to people who say 10R flop? What do you say to say darkest days?
I say baloney.
I say baloney.
On that. Let me tell you how I view this. Here's the truth of what the facts are.
The truth, the facts, the facts, the TI.
Began shipping the iPhone XR. It has been the most popular iPhone.
Talking about popularity, that's TFI.
Every day. Every single day.
That's outcome as well.
From when we started shipping until now.
But how about relatively? I mean, there have been other ones that have...
Do I want to sell more? Of course I do. Of course I'd like to sell more. And you know, we're working on that. And but in terms of the product
we're
itself,
working on
it's an
that.
incredibly innovative product. It has a bunch of advanced technologies in it, from the chip with a neural engine to security embedded to an edge-to-edge liquid retina display, the first in the industry, longest battery life ever in an iPhone.
TFI.
I mean, it is unbelievable. And the photos that you can take of your life and of your loved ones, I mean, it beats up many of the standalone cameras that you could buy now that nobody uses anymore. And so
talking about
these
nobody
things
uses it anymore.
You know, give a lot of value to the customer. So that's that. In terms of the naysayer, I've heard this over and over again, Jim. I've heard it in 2001. I've heard it in 2005 and 7 and 8 and 10 and 12 and 13. You can probably find the same quotes from the same people over and over again. And I'm not defensive on it. This is America, and you can say what you want. But I'm giving you my honest opinion is that there is a culture of innovation in Apple. And that culture of innovation combined with these incredible loyal customers, happy customers, this ecosystem, this virtuous ecosystem is something that is probably underappreciated.
Well, then you were surprised with the market reaction to both when you decided to not reveal units and when you revealed the shortfall?
I'm never surprised by the market, to be honest with you, because I think the market is quite emotional in the short term, and we sort of look through all of that. We think about the long term. And
we
so
think about the long term, the future, not be abstract, future focus.
At the long-term health of the company, it has never been better. The product pipeline has never been better. The ecosystem has never been stronger. The services are on a tear. If you look at, let's just take Wearables as an example.
Sure.
Right? Wearables is mainly the Apple Watch and AirPods.
Yes.
If you look at this and on a trailing basis, so I'm not
he's
projecting.
Going, if you, he's going basis, you.
We've already exceeded the revenue from Wearables is
TE
already
numbers.
50% more than
TE
iPod
statistics.
was at its peak. Now, this is a product that everyone, iPod would say, I think everybody would say it was an incredibly important product for Apple, full of innovation, and probably the trigger for the company getting on a very different trajectory and into other markets. And so already exceeded it by 50% at its peak.
TE data.
Also, if you take AirPods and the watch separately, and you sort of back these up and align it to the launch date of iPod as well, and where all of them have
data,
a comparable amount of time,
TE.
you would find that each one independently is like 4 to 6 times ahead of where iPod was at a comparable period of time. And so this AirPods are becoming ubiquitous out there. People love them. I get notes every day. They're chock full of technology, but they just work.
Well, Tim, I'm gonna say this: when iPhone first started, you weren't as big as a brand as you are now. So obviously, you're gonna beat all the sales from back then. At the same time, that's pretty easy to tell.
Elegance of them, but with significant technology and built right in, and an unbelievable user interface.
All right, keep that thought because we're going to talk about innovation. We'll be right back. More with Tim Cook in a second.
Okay, we're done here. All right, that was great. Tim Cook is an ENTJ, okay, not an ISTJ, okay. The guy's outcome and direct AF. Like, you pick that up in the first 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Okay, so what we noticed about Tim Cook was he was very direct and he was outcome. We were literally down to 4 types in literally no time. And from there, he starts spitting TE data and statistics and facts. That limited us down to ESTJ and ENTJ, and the guy's an SENI user. So with him being an SENI user, the only TE SENI user that's direct and outcome is the ENTJ. We also saw that he was systematic. He's obviously future focused. And I think a softcore type Jim Cramer. Jim Cramer looks like an ENTJ as well. 2 ENTJs in one video. But this is Mongolian Mindset, and we are out.